Hello. So I know this is not the best video situation, but I do not have the best setup and I need to practice that. But I do want to start showing all of you how easy it is to paint some of these kits. So that's what I'm doing today. I feel a little silly because I'm going to be talking to myself, but that's okay. So this is a new kit that I am going to have available on my website. It's a little farmer boy and a little farmer girl, and I am going to paint that with you today. So the one thing that I want to point out first is that I mask with tape all of the wood that I cut in my laser. Some people don't. Some people are okay with this kind of burnt edge that you see here. Some people like the way that it looks. Even after it's painted over, it kind of shows through. That's actually why I don't like it, especially if you're painting with a light color, and especially if you're painting with white. That it takes a lot of coats to cover that up if you don't want that burnt part to show through. So I just mask it with tape, and then when the cut is done, I peel off the masking, and the wood is just so pretty underneath. So it takes away all of that burnt edge that you get, because it is burning. It's cutting with a laser. So I just don't want that to show up. So there's that. So it's a nice pretty piece of wood with no burn marks on it. Sometimes it's actually really nice to mask something that has like all of these are all different individual pieces that I'm going to be painting. That makes it really easy if you're doing a lot of different colors. Some things are just scored. What that means is it's not all the way cut through, but I use the laser to make kind of a pattern that you can follow. So if you are painting with markers, with these paint markers, I love these Posca pins. So if you're painting with those, you can actually just unmask a section at a time when it's scored. That way you can stay in the lines a little bit easier. For example, if this wasn't cut, if it was scored, it would have these lines here. I could take the tape off this, take the tape off this, I could paint. The masking would still be on this other area, and then when I'm done painting these, I could lift the masking off and you would have like a perfectly even line where the paint is. It wouldn't have bled onto the other part that was still covered up with the masking tape. So it actually makes it really easy for that. I realize some people aren't aware that the wood even comes masked, because when you're looking at it, it doesn't look like it's covered with tape. Like it just looks like that could be the piece of wood if somebody wasn't paying attention. And I've even made the mistake before where I've forgotten to take masking off of a part, and then I would paint it and then it starts to peel up later and I'm like, oh goodness, I did not take the masking off of that. So typically before I send these out, I actually do remove all the masking. It's a process, but I don't want people to get confused, and I like showing the nice clean wood without all the burn marks. So I like to just remove it all before I sent it out. So there's that. And I'm just gonna work on removing all of this masking. So I'm actually going to pause the video so that you don't have to watch me peel off all the masking of all these individual pieces, and then I will show you how I paint it. Okay, so I've taken all the masking off the front and off the pieces, and then I flipped it over and I realized that this was a perfect example to show you what I meant about the masking. So these lines are just scored. They are not cut. They're just scored so that you can actually see the design. This is actually designed by one of my favorite designers. She likes to, when she has a standing piece, she likes to have the design on the back too. So if you have it on a tiered tray, if you have it on a counter, no matter which direction you're viewing from, you actually have the piece painted with the design on the back and on the front. So this is masked still. It is scored. So if I was going to paint this shirt a different color than the arms, what I would do then is I would just peel up the masking from that one section. And then, so you can see the wood there, I would paint that. After I was done painting that, I would peel up the next section, the next section, the next section, so then I could go ahead and paint all of those different pieces. So I could go ahead and take off the back of the boots. If I wanted to paint, I'm gonna paint those brown. I'm gonna paint the soles black. So it just shows you how you can lift up each individual piece. And like, that's actually the cuff of the jeans. So I'll probably do that a little bit lighter blue than I do the actual jeans. So anyway, I just wanted to show you what that looked like. So I'm gonna peel those off of the backs as I paint them, because that will make it easier for me. So I'll put this guy back together. And I love this part because it's kind of like putting together one of those big chunky puzzles when you were little. Like, it's really just the same thing. So each one just goes together. There's this little Gnome nose and the pieces of his hat. And I have not even decided what colors I'm going to do, so I'm going to decide as I'm going. There should be 2 of these. I think I might have accidentally thrown the other one away, but it's just a piece of straw that layers on top of their hats like that. And there should be one that goes for the girl hat as well. But anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start painting. I'm gonna start with the girl, and I'm gonna start with her hair. And I think I am partial to brown, so I am actually going to stain her hair. I'm trying to remember, this is dark walnut. Yeah, I'm gonna use this color. So I'm gonna just use a little bit of stain, a little rag to wipe it off. Make sure I like that look. These are just the little touch-up markers. When I'm staining like little tiny pieces, these are great because I don't have to deal with opening the big giant can and then dealing with the mess that comes with that. Usually I put gloves on when I'm staining a bigger piece. This, I don't worry so much about it. So there's that. And her hair is done. And the backside will be glued, so we don't have to worry about staining the backside, because that part will not be visible. This, these farmer notes actually come with, she had a much bigger set that I have purchased the file. I just haven't cut it yet, but it's an apple stand, like going to pick apples, and it's a really cute tiered tray set. Tiered tray sets, I call them that, that's what they're labeled as when I buy the files, but really any small shelf that you want to decorate in your kitchen, in your bathroom, if you want to put these on your mantle, like any space that's something like this size, like these little signs or figures or whatever, they could be used to decorate any of those spaces. So it's not really necessarily just for tiered trays, and I think some people see that and they're like, oh, but I don't have a tiered tray, I don't want a tiered tray. But they're just cute little extra decorations that you can just put by a picture frame or by some greenery that you have. But anyway, this comes with a whole apple picking set with like a little ladder, a tree with an apple on it, super cute. So I am actually going to work on cutting that in the next couple of days so I can show that as well. And I'll offer that on my website as well. So let's see. I think I'm gonna leave her nose just this color. I'm gonna not do anything to that. I'm gonna work on her boots. And I'm gonna do an actual brown marker for those. For these little pieces, I really just love using the Posca paint markers. And I peeled off the masking at the bottom, but if I had wanted to, I could have definitely left it on there until I was ready to move on from one color to the next, because I'm actually going to do brown and then black for the soles. Using the markers, I mean, I am not as steady with a paintbrush, so I typically use markers, or if I'm putting paint on a bigger piece, I use these little sponges. These are just little makeup sponges, and I like put paint on the bottom and then I just dab, dab, dab whatever I'm painting. If I'm doing something really big, I use rollers. So this looks pretty messy. That's because I keep putting more white in and I keep changing the roller out. But it's just like a little tray that I got at Home Depot. I put some white paint in there. It's a little tiny roller that's about this big. And for any like bigger piece that I'm doing, I'll just roll the paint right on. So it makes it super easy. Want to make sure that my markers are ready to go. Oh, got a little bit on the brown. That happens. I'm also not used to painting with an audience, so there we go. I think I'm gonna have the boy farmer have blonde hair. You won't be able to see his hair, but you'll be able to see his beard. So he's gonna have a blonde beard, or yellow. I'm gonna try to make it look blonde. Okay, so there are her boots. I think I put those on the wrong way. All right, the cuff of her jeans and her jeans. Because this is a bit bigger, I am going to use some of this paint. These are actually Mondo Llama. They're from Target. I just started painting with these. I like the colors, but I wish that they actually had like a little squeeze bottle with a cap, because I feel like I waste too much paint pouring it out. I always try to not get too much, but it doesn't always work. So this is how I'm gonna paint this piece. Just use my little makeup sponge and dab it on. I think I might too take a sanding block and just like run it over the blue when I'm done. Just give it a little bit of a distressed look so it's not so bright blue and new looking. And since I'm painting hers, I'm going to go ahead and grab his pants and do the same thing. Super easy, not intimidating. I think when I first started watching people painting these projects, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'd be able to make it look like they're making it look, but I've watched so many other people and their videos, and I've learned a lot of like just tips and tricks with painting, and I used to be really intimidated by painting, but I have gotten over it. Let's see, for these little pieces, I think I'm just gonna do, let's see how that will look. Yeah, I'm gonna just use this little marker. So it looks like it's cuffed and it's the inside and it's a little lighter. I'm actually going to make her pocket this color too. And her little pocket has stitching on it. I don't know if you can see that right along the edges. It's scored, and when you paint it, you'll still see the score lines. Telling you, these Posca paint pens are the best. I've had this same set. Well, I've actually added quite a bit to it. I have some glitter ones. I have some metallics. They're just so fun and so easy to use. Let's see. I'm gonna work on her hat. I think I'm gonna make I guess I'll go ahead and use that same blue. I'm gonna give her a little color with her flower, which is gonna go onto her hat. Yeah, we'll do that. She's good. They're gonna be twinsies, but that's okay. And the beautiful thing about this is that if you don't like the colors that I'm using, you can buy the DIY set and you can paint it in the colors that you want to use. So maybe you want her to have pink bib overalls, then you definitely would be able to do that. Because I know one of the hardest things is that I know the color scheme that I like isn't really necessarily going to be the color scheme that somebody else likes. So I don't want to like make people feel like they have to go with whatever colors I'm using, because maybe they don't want to. Maybe they have a totally different theme in mind, or they're trying to match their own decor or a decor item that they already have. So yeah, that's why I definitely wanted to have the DIY kits. And also I really enjoy the DIY kits. Before I got my laser, I was buying them from other people to paint because I thought they were so fun. So I'm trying to make a straw colored hat, and I don't know, I'm not the best at mixing colors, but I don't want like just bright yellow. I don't know how this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try it a little bit. Just get kind of like a tan yellow. I don't know, I might come back over that with just yellow, we'll see. Using another sponge. I just realized that when I did the straw piece that goes across the hat, it's kind of going to be the same color, but that's okay, because it's supposed to be a straw hat. And then this top piece. On these little pieces, another reason why I like using the Posca pins is because if you press too hard, which I just did, you're gonna get paint down the edges, which it won't matter for the parts that are glued to the next part. You won't see it, but on the outside edges, if you don't like that, you can actually just take a baby wipe and wipe that off before it dries. I mean, you could actually wipe it off when it dries too. It's just a lot harder because then you have to scrub a little bit. But if you do it when it's wet, it's a lot easier to take care of. And then I want to show you too, the brown that you see is the, it's from the laser. It's from the cut wood. So it's char. So there's that. And it'll go on top of that, which will go on top of that. All right, and so my girl's done, I think. I'm gonna put her together. She's got her little boots. Oh, there's still a piece of masking there. I keep thinking that I'm not doing this up high enough for you guys to see. So we have our little boots. I believe those are the right way. We'll find out in a second. We gotta piece it all back together. Good, good. A little pocket. Oh, I need to finish her flower. That's the one thing I did not paint yet. Put our little nose back in there. Her hair. And there we go. She is almost done. Just gotta do her little flower. Let's see, and I want to make this like a pinky color, I think. Maybe not such a bright pink. Let's do a purple pink. Oh, that's very purple, like a lavender. That's cute. And it goes with the blue. And I left the masking, you see how I'm being kind of messy in the middle there? I actually left that masking on in the middle so I didn't have to worry about that circle. So I'm gonna let that dry before I try to touch it and take off the masking. And I'm gonna move on to my boy gnome. Use the same colors for his cuffs. There we go. Let's see, what color shirt should he have? I think maybe like an orange shirt. Maybe orange. If I was really fancy, I would try to do a design on these sleeves, but considering that I am doing this on a video, I don't want to mess that up. So if I do something after the fact and it works out, I will definitely show you guys and tell you how I did it. Sometimes you get these little like pieces, cut pieces, so I'm just trying to get those off the tip of the marker by getting it on the paper. In case you were wondering what I was doing. Let's see. Do his boots. Score lines make it so much easier to keep parts sectioned off. See. I want his hair to be a little more actual blonde. So I'm going to use just the yellow without mixing it. See how that looks. With these light colors, I might do a couple of coats. Sometimes one coat is all it needs. If I hadn't masked and if I had those char marks, I would have to do way more coats to cover that up. And some people just really like that look. They think it looks a little more rustic. They like that overall feel. If I want something more rustic, I tend to just do the like sanding paper or a sanding block and do it that way. All right. This is a little beard. I'll keep his nose the same wood color. And then I'm gonna mix some more of the darker color for his hat. One thing I always used to be scared of is mixing colors, but really it's just, you have to see what works. Put a little bit of this and a little bit of that, mix it together, and sometimes it actually works out really well. My other one that I was using just fell into the blue. So the great thing about these is that you can actually just, you can keep using them. So usually I cut the bottom part off so that I can keep using it up until it gets too small to be able to use. But in this case, I'm just cutting off the spot that had blue paint all over it. Right. I left the little patch. You can see I left the masking on the little patch too because I want to be able to just blot over this, and then I'll take those off and use a different color on that for the patch. Maybe orange to go with his shirt color. I want to make that shirt plaid, but I definitely don't know if I want to do that while I'm recording, because I will need to look up how best to do that. I always end up with paint all over my fingers after this, but this paint just, with a baby wipe or just washing your hands, it comes right off, so I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna go over the edges again because that'll be the top of his hat. There we go. I think I'm gonna do the same blue here too. They're gonna have matching hats too. That orange for his shirt is very orange. So I feel like I definitely want to do something to that. Go ahead. Do this straw. All right. Finish his boots. Hope it doesn't sound too loud down here. I have a purifier, an air purifier going because the laser makes a very strong campfire smell in my craft room. Okay. So now, before I glue her together, I need to work on the back side of her. All right, so I'm just going to do this piece by piece. And I might use some of my smaller markers since, oh, actually I need to do her jeans first because I'm blotting that. Guess her overalls go all the way up to, I can take that piece off too. Did not take her pockets off because I think I want to do those in that lighter blue. And there's a spot right here. Oh, duh, see, this is what I was telling you, that sometimes I forget to take the masking off before I start painting. So there is a part here and here, and that's meant to be like her little shirt. It's like the only peek of a shirt that we get from her. So I didn't take that masking off so that I could just blot right over with this big section of blue. Just makes it a lot easier. Sometimes the paint might go under the masking depending on how thick you're putting it, but typically you could just paint right over it, so I'm not super worried about it. A little darker. Okay. And to grab my tweezers. These, they're just regular tweezers, but they make it really easy to peel off the pieces that you didn't peel off before. So there's her pocket. There's her other pocket. Right now it looks like she's wearing chaps, which is a little inappropriate, but we are gonna fix that. This is her little shirt area. Anybody who is just tuning in to this part of the video, that after I post it, they're gonna be like, why is she wearing chaps? So let's fix that. Even though the paint's a little wet still, I'm gonna go ahead and color that in so that everybody can see that she's wearing pants and not chaps. That would be an interesting addition to my page. It's a lot easier to paint the little pieces like this than it is to like do the little spots first and then peel off the big spot. All right, I just got a little bit light blue. So this, some people probably like look at the website and they see the price difference for painted pieces versus the blanks, and this is why. I mean, if I was making 20 sets of these, it's just a little time consuming because obviously I want them all to look perfect. So I would take my time on all of them to make sure that they turn out really nice. But it's another option for the DIY if you don't want to pay that price to have me paint it for you, which is totally fine. You can get the DIY so that you can paint it. I think I'm gonna need to touch up this blue because it was still pretty wet. When I started wiping. But we'll be able to fix that too. I just need to let it dry so I can see how much more paint I need to add. So now we're going to work on her little cuffs. I'm rushing a little bit more because I'm very aware that people are watching me do this, and I know it's going to be a long video. And I also need to get better at painting and talking. Usually this is a very solitary thing for me. I'm down here painting. My puppy Max is just laying on the floor underneath the table taking a nap. So it's just me. And I'm doing it while Alex is at school, my son, because if I wasn't, he would be busting in here asking me for a snack or a drink or something else, I don't know. So this is the easiest way. When I do lives later, which I know I really need to do, it's just figuring out a time, figuring out a lighting situation and a setup. This is easy because I can just put the camera like right above my workspace. If I was doing a live, I would have to make sure that you could see me, you could see the project, and the lighting wasn't off, and it just gets a little trickier. I do need to figure it out. I know some of you are following me and have not actually met me or seen me in person, besides my pictures I post, so I do want everyone to be able to see me, the face behind my business. I don't need to color those little slots, they're just going to go down into the base, but this one's not off. I don't know if I took the other one off, so we'll find out. Right, I'm gonna have her wear a purple shirt under there, and I'm gonna need my tiny, tiny, tiny purple markers. This This is not the tiniest, but it's tinier. So the shirt is going to match the flower. I'm really hoping after doing all this that I don't watch the video and realize that like the sound is off or something is wrong. All of this will be for nothing. I would just post it as a speed video so that you could see the process if that was the case, I guess. Hopefully it's all there. Stain the back of her hair. Gnomes are my favorite. I never thought I was necessarily a gnome person, but oh my gosh, there are so many cute little gnomies out there. So I love them now. I have a bunch of files. It's between, you know, painting and cutting and doing custom orders, which I love too. I have so many files. I have so many files for fall, and I don't even think I'm going to be able to get them all like out and listed in time. I have some more Halloween ones. I have a cool Halloween sign that's like it's a personalized version of the Addams Family song with your name at the bottom. So I want to get that cut very soon. There's so many. It's funny, the app that I use to load things into my laser, I just have things weighted. They're all loaded up, they're ready to go. They just need me to put in a piece of wood and say cut, but there are so many things in line, I guess I should say. So many things I want to make, so many things I want to do. And I love it. It's so fun. There's the back of her hair. Now we're going to do her hat. It's going to be a little tricky. Because I think I might try to use a paintbrush if I can find one small enough here to do that part. Not talking during this part because I feel like I will mess it up and get paint in her hair. Now that I've gotten the line done, I'm going to go ahead and take the top of the head off. And do the blotting. That dries a little bit, I'm gonna do the purple there. I'm gonna work on the back of Mr. Farmer. Let's see. I have to use a paintbrush there too. I'm gonna use this one. No. Use this one because I did not bring water down. I'm so not good with painting with a steady hand with a paintbrush. That's why when I found out that people used the blotting method, I was like, I can do that. I can just blot a whole bunch of paint on there. That works for me. I am not, I guess, well, I'm not an artist by any means, but I like to think that it's kind of an art. Just getting things to look a certain way. Putting my own spin on things, getting to paint it or decorate it however I want. That's why, for those of you that have been following me for a while or know me personally, you know that I used to have a chalk couture page, which I haven't gotten rid of it because I do want to incorporate chalk and the laser pieces at some point. It's just, I feel like I need to really get a good understanding of my laser and what I can do with it, and really focus on that aspect of it before I start pulling in another thing to focus on. So the thing that I didn't like about it was that you could personalize it with colors, and they had like different fonts that you could use if you wanted to like add a name to something, but you couldn't like make a design bigger. You couldn't really change anything about the design itself when you're using the chalk couture transfers. And that made it hard when people would contact me and they would want like a custom order. I'd have to kind of figure out how I could make that happen. And now that I have my own laser, I mean, it's great. I have these files. I'd love to design my own files eventually once I have a better understanding of the software. And I have made a couple of little like basic things. But I do buy other people's files just because they're ready to cut. Those people know what they're doing. But anyway, if somebody were to contact me and say, you know, I really love that sign, but it's a tier tray sign and it's only 5 inches big. Like, I want to put it on my wall. I want it to be like 10 inches big. And I can do that. I can just adjust the file. I can make it whatever size. I can't go too big because my laser is just a desktop laser, so it can only go up to like 12 by 20, I want to say. Looking for my, so I can't go beyond that. Once, you know, if things take off, if my business does well, I'm making enough profit, I can actually buy a bigger laser, and I could take on some of those like bigger pieces that are really cool. But until then, it is cool that I can at least size things up or down. If somebody sees a big sign that I have and they want it to be smaller, I can do that too. And it makes it a lot easier to customize, to make things for people. All right, I think that once that dries, I think that'll look a lot better. Okay, so we are going to do the brown for his boots. We're almost done, which is good because my son gets off the bus in a half hour, well, 40 minutes, so plenty of time. I love that nice crisp line after I peel off a section. It's like, oh, it's so pretty. Staying still open. Oh, shoot. See, this is what happens when I talk and don't pay attention to what I'm doing. Because that was the cuff, not the boot. But that's okay. It's still a little wet, so I can hopefully get off as much as possible. How that blue is going to look on there because it's a little darker, but that's okay. It'll be fine. It might be a little darker than the other side, but that's okay. And that's the thing I've learned about painting, because before I would have been like, oh no, and now I'm just like, oh, let's wipe it off and see what happens. So you can see it's gonna be a little darker, but I think it'll lighten up once it dries. Maybe it'll just look like the farmer's been walking in some dirt and it's only on the back of his pants. Doesn't that happen though, anyway? I feel like it does. The brown is still a little wet, so it's getting onto the blue marker a little bit. I'll come back over that with blue again. I'll probably need to. Now our brown. however you want me, if you order something and you want me to leave the masking on so that you can do this the way that I'm doing it with just peeling a section off at a time, if it's something that has score lines like this, then just let me know. I can definitely leave the masking on for you. You'll just need to make sure that you take it off before you paint. Almost done. Let's see, he's got that bright orange shirt. Or actually, no, he has overalls on too. Well, that makes it easy. Still need to take his pockets off. It's gonna look like he has chaps too for a minute. That's okay. Just know that he's fully clothed. Definitely gotten a lot better at staying in the lines with these paint markers. I used to make a lot more mistakes. And just now, you could probably see, got a little too close to the blue right there. Not used to keeping up a steady stream of conversation while I do this. It's another thing that I'm worried about with going live. It'll be easier probably because people will comment and I can respond, but that's just another thing that will probably distract me. But that's okay. It would be a lot more fun than just me talking to myself the whole time. get a little too overzealous with my light blue. I think it's because I'm getting close to being done and I'm excited to see it all together. Starting to rush. Alright, so now we are going to do his hat. If you have long nails, you can just use those too, but once it has paint on them, I don't like to get more paint on my hands than I absolutely will, so. Paintbrush. Paint's getting a little. Yeah, there we go. So close, guys. This is the last thing I need to do on our girl now. Gnome is done. We just need to glue her together. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to look and see how to make his shirt plaid somehow. This is not something I want to just make up on this video though, because I want to see how best to do it. All right. So we are going to glue this together. I usually use this Loctite super glue, but it is not very forgiving. So I'm gonna have to be very careful because it dries very fast. And with something like this, where there's lots of pieces that connect, we want to make sure that it is in the absolute right place before it dries. That looks pretty good. Definitely don't need much glue either. Sometimes if I want to get the excess off, I always put this paper down on the surface that I'm working on. I can blot on it. Oh, see, that's definitely already stuck. I'm hoping those jeans are gonna look okay. It's not quite right, but it is on there. It is not coming off. This is right. Hopefully, definitely don't want to set your product down. Your wood pieces where you've blotted the glue, that is not a good idea either. Okay, that's gonna be okay. There's a little space there, but it is what it is. This one's just for me anyway, so. I think this glue takes a little longer to dry, but because there are so many pieces, I really want to have time to move things around if I need to. So if you can trust yourself to put things on the way they need to be without having to readjust, then you definitely should use the Loctite super glue. If you need a little more time to arrange, you could use the Loctite go-to glue, which is more of a gel and takes a little longer to dry, but you can still reposition. The only problem is you need to keep making sure that it's in the right spot because it will move on you. And then you have to keep repositioning, which is also not good. So, just making sure everything is where it should be. I think I'm going to use this glue on the braids, and that will help keep that other piece on. In the right spot. There we go. This piece. Go. Her little pocket. I never finished painting her little flower, but that's easy to do. take off this little center. Give it a quick dab of yellow. Where should I put it? Should I put it on her shirt or hat? She has a piece that goes there. I don't know if I'm gonna put hers on though. Maybe I'll just do the flower. Oh, I didn't take that off. I can tell the discoloration. It always reminds me. Put that right there. And she's done. And sometimes it happens where the wood is just a little bit thicker than it's cut for. So I'm just gonna have to make those holes a little wider, and then that will sit right in there, and then she will stand. Okay. Let's put our guy together. Still at. I'm gonna make sure I'm better with this shoe than I was with the other one. That's what made it all crooked. These are so adorable. Beard. This one's really easy because it slides in place. There's no mistaking that one. Some arms. Oh gosh, so adorable. So stinking cute. Oh, his patch. It's such a rush. Forgot about his patch. These little guys. These little tiny pieces. That's masking. totally need to go get my son off the bus soon. This bus comes at 3:10 and it is 2:58. And luckily it's just a few houses down, so. And he knows that if I'm not there to just come home, but I mean, he's in 3rd grade and I know he's probably fine walking home by himself, but he was home all last year because of COVID. So for right now, I like picking him up from the bus. There we go. Put his little straw piece on. Doesn't fit in the base because I did not check that before I cut. You should always check before you cut. And my wood is a little thicker this time. So these are Gnomes and these are the backs and they're so adorable, and I set that down in glue, so I'm gonna have to fix that. So cute. All right, so I will post a picture. I need to go get my son. I need to do a couple of touch-ups, but I will post a picture when they are all done so that you can see them when they're standing in their little stands. All right, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I will, as soon as I have a good picture, I will put these up on the website. I should have taken a picture of them before I painted them. I always forget that. But yeah, so they will be on the website. And you will be able to, oh, I just set those. You'll be able to purchase the DIY, or if you want them painted, you can purchase them painted. All right, thanks, bye.